Alright, we're back. It's been a while, but yeah, my finals are over. Time to get into it. Time to pick up where we left off. Oh, No said, don't pursue this case, go live a normal life. But will we do that? We'll have to see. Frisia Credit Bureau.
So, わかったわ。
I see. Yes, understood.
宮代ちゃん、犯人の子の家にいたそうよ。
Yashiro-chan was at the killer's house, he says. Momose moved the phone away from her ear and relayed Shinjo's message to Kunosato. Kunosato stopped typing at her computer and grabbed the phone away from her.
新庄さん、宮代に代わってくれ。確認したいことがある。
Shinjo-san, put Miyashiro on. I want to ask him something. She must have not liked the answer she got back because she looked annoyed.
だったら、なるべく早くこちらに連れてきてくれ。大まかにだが、データの洗い出しと検索が終わった。結果は、今そっちにメールで送った。
Then bring him here as soon as you can. I've more or less finished my search of the data. I just sent you a message with the results.
落ち込んでいる時間などないと、尻を叩いておいてくれ。
Give him a swift kick in the ass and tell him he can cry later. Momose raised her eyebrows. Kunosato hung up.
ちょっと厳しいんじゃない？
That's a little harsh, don't you think?
事実です。
It's the truth. That's not what I meant, Momose began.
近しい人が亡くなってしまった気持ちは、みおちゃんも知ってるじゃない。
You know what it's like to lose someone close to you, too. Kunosato looked down as if searching her own feelings. Do you think Kunosato is pulling the strings? Do you think she's the one who actually told, like, Ito to, like, oh, this is... You left Senri back there, but I still think that was just exploiting his insecurity. I don't know if that was actually, like, the killer's motive. Because Onoe's telepathy would allow her to know that insecurity, irregardless if it actually meant anything to her. But then she looked up as if nothing had happened and turned back to her computer.
私は利己主義ですから。
I only care about myself. So she's very emotionally unavailable. Let's just say that.
失恋した男女同士がくっつくような傷の舐め合いはヘドが出ます。同情するのもされるのもごめんです。
The idea of a boy and girl who both lost the ones they loved, consoling one another, disgusts me. I don't give sympathy and I don't want it either.
舐め合いかどうかはともかく、私は同情って優しさだと思ってるわよ。
I think sympathy is part of being kind, you know?
気持ちはわかる。だから頑張れという言葉ほど人を突き放すものはないと思いますが。
And I think there's nothing that pushes a person away so much as saying, I know how you feel, so hang in there.
何も言わなくていいのよ。そういうのは自然に伝わるもんだから。
You don't have to say anything, people can just tell.
きちんとそうすることができる人を大人っていうの。
Being able to do that is part of being an adult. Kunosato chuckled as she looked at the screen.
私は未成年です。
I'm a minor. And then Momose chuckled too. Dang, Kunosato actually chuckled? That's crazy.
それが問題なのよ。
That's the problem, isn't it? She sighed.
あら有村ちゃん、寝てていいのよ。ろくに休んでないでしょ。
Oh, Armuro-chan, you can go to sleep, you know. Haven't got any rest, right? Kinosato turned away and saw that Armuro had gone off the sofa. She looked like she wanted to say something, but instead she just took a deep breath.
大丈夫です。それより何か分かったんですか？
I'm fine. Anyway, what did you find? When Momose told her that they found Miyashiro, Armuro looked genuinely relieved.
そうですか。よかった。
I see. I'm glad.
有村、お前、尾上の過去を聞いたことはあるか？
Armuro, have you heard anything about Onoe's past? Kinosato suddenly looked away from the monitor and spoke to her.
尾上の過去だ。そうだな。例えば小学生の時の話とか。
Onoe's past, such as when she was in elementary school, for example. She was caught off guard by the sudden question, but Armuro was able to answer quickly.
宮代先輩の幼馴染だっていうことだけですね。それ以外は何も。
I just know that she was Miyashiro Senpai's childhood friend, nothing else. She'd only gotten to know Sarika about a month ago, and all they ever talked about was the case. She didn't know much at all about Sarika's private life.
どんな些細なことでもいい。過去に関して、尾上が嘘を言っていたことはなかったか？
Did she ever lie about her past? It doesn't matter how small it was. Do you think Sarika is being mind controlled too? Like, I feel like, why not, right? Maybe she was made to do that. Well, actually, I mean, yeah, sure, Ito was mind controlled ever since we walked in on the two of them in that room. Who's to say Onoe wasn't mind controlled far before that? You can mind control someone for a pretty long time, it looks like. Also, in the text messages, the police said that Ito went insane or whatever and started like messaging himself. I don't believe that. I think, wait, maybe? Because Ami-chan is an urban legend, right? So I guess typically urban legends don't actually exist, but this is a science adventure game, so you never know. Maybe Ami-chan is actually real and controlling him. Yeah, why not?
ないと思います。セリ、彼女は嘘が少ない人でしたから。
I don't think so, Seri. That girl didn't lie very much. Yeah, I'm starting to think maybe Ami-chan is real and he was controlling everyone. Ami-chan controlled Ito. Yeah, wait, Ami-chan didn't just message Ito. That's such a fucking lie from the police. Ami-chan also messaged Watabe. Wait, was it? No. He messaged... Ami-chan messaged someone to kill Watabe. I think that was like Max Cady or Ed Lucas or something like that. In that case, yeah, it was plausible. I don't know. I guess Ami-chan might be fake. That was the truth. Armuro was capable of recognizing common courtesies and jokes as lies. That's why she knew how filled with lies most people's conversations were. And that was the real reason why everyone she said at school was a joke. Why everything she said at school was a joke. Nothing made her more upset than when she was talking about something serious and the person she was speaking with responded with a lie. That's why she told jokes. Everyone around her joked back. It was a lot easier that way. Out of all the people she knew, Ito and Sarika from the newspaper club were some of the ones who lied the least. They just weren't any good at it. But to Aramura, that was a greater blessing than the others could imagine. That's why it's been such a shock. It might not have been as bad for her as it was for Miyashiro, but she felt like she'd been betrayed by someone who's more than a friend. When Kunisata realized that she wasn't going to get anything useful out of Aramura, she turned back to her computer.
彼女のこと何かわかりそうですか？
Have you found out anything about her?
わからない。お手上げというやつだ。
Nothing. We're getting nowhere. She sighed and flicked the monitor with her fingers.
ここは調査会社だ。さらに新庄さんが持っているネットワークも使える。人探しや身辺調査はお箱なんだよ。
This is a detective agency. We've got Shinjo-san's network too. Finding people and doing background checks should be the easiest thing in the world.
だが、どれだけ遡っても中学以前の記録が出てこない。あいつが第三者的な情報として最初に登場するのは2009年の11月だ。
I can't find any information on her that dates back before middle school. The first time we see any information is November 2009. November 2009, so that's 6 years ago. Was that 6 years ago? I think it was. So that was the Shibuya earthquake. So is she Senri? Did the earthquake happen? Senri got free, or at least she went missing, and she started a new life as Onoe? Huh. Interesting. Aramura gasped.
渋谷地震があった月ですよね。
That's the month of the Shibuya earthquake, isn't it?
正確には地震から約2週間後の11月21日 AH 東京総合病院の系列病院のカルテにその記録が残っている。
More specifically, 2 weeks after the earthquake, on November 21st, I found her records at a hospital affiliated with AH Tokyo General.
ところがそれ以前のデータはどこにも残っていない。出生届も就学の記録もそれどころか戸籍すら見当たらない。
But there's no data from before that. No birth certificate, no school records, not even a family register.
さらに言うと
And what's more, Kunisata's face took on an even sterner look as she pulled up a medical record. This specific medical record belonged to Miyashiro Takaru. What? Wait, are you telling me? Wait. Don't tell me. Is this playing into the whole Gigalomaniacs can have two powers thing? Is this saying that Takaru's insane and then he imagined Senri as existing? Or not Senri, Onoe as existing, and then his delusions became reality and she actually started to exist? Symptoms follow-up 6809. Is that a date? Yeah, probably. This is 2009. This is I don't know what. Okay, so this is month. This is, I mean, either could be month, really. This could be August 6th, or this could be June 8th. Probably doesn't matter. S/O? What does that mean? Significant other? Acts out to... What? Let's say nodes? I don't think that's what it says. Prescription treatment. Parents, he's always taking to himself. Acts out to... Okay, like someone else is there. One day, he came up with the name Onoe. Now he's using it constantly. What the fuck? So he created someone who would betray him? Patient. My parents are never at home, so I spend time with my friend. The patient and the parents view family life very differently. Onway, who's always around. Family difficulties. Patient is stable, but portrays unnatural and antisocial tendencies, constantly taking to himself and slowly and showing dependency on the aforementioned friend. Reacts defensively. A, I don't know what A is. Heavily reliant on imaginary friend. P, determined circumstances of domestic life, remediation strategies, next time, confirmed by assessment, prescribe after. And then this is, what, June 11th? I guess, yeah, June 11th, 27. What? That's very interesting. So he has an imaginary friend that he willed into existence. It betrayed him. I think. Why? I'm trying to think about how this fits into like what we know about him. Is this about being a right-sider and stuff? He needed to create someone who's also as interested in being a right-sider as he was? Sorry. Thanks for the meal.
気にしないでいい。正直、この味には飽きてるんだ。
Don't worry about it. Honestly, I'm sick of this flavor. After I finished eating the calorie block, Shinjo-san threw the wrapper in the trash. He said that whenever he was running around in a case, he always kept 2 or 3 with him. I ate them a lot too, so I knew what he meant about being sick of them.
僕もチョコ味をよく食べてます。
I ate the chocolate ones a lot.
そうか。
I see. I didn't know how long I'd been crying for, but it was the first time I cried until my lungs and throat hurt. Shinjo-san had offered me a handkerchief and quietly waited a long time for me to finish. After I'd fallen silent and I couldn't find any new tears to wipe away with the handkerchief, my stomach suddenly rumbled. Until then, I hadn't even felt like drinking water, but after a full day of no food, my body had begun to demand it. Shinjo-san was fiddling with his cell phone. He seemed to be checking his messages. Then he turned to me questioningly.
宮代くん、すまないが、聞きたいことがあるんだ。
Yashiro-kun, sorry, but I need to ask you something. I could tell he was asking if that would be okay. It felt like the tears were about to start again, but I held them back. I looked at Nono's letter. I've been holding it so hard that I got crumpled in my hands. Don't think about revenge. Don't do anything dangerous.
分かってる。
Do you think? You don't think, right? That they implanted Onoe in his mind? That maybe the entire family that he's a part of was in on an experiment to, like, do something? I don't know. I know. Maybe they put it in his mind, put Onoe in his mind, not just as, like, an experiment or whatever, but maybe to, like, help him cope. Maybe he was too traumatized.
大丈夫だから。ノノ。全然大丈夫じゃないけど。大丈夫じゃないけど。大丈夫だから。
His parents were murdered, so maybe they were the ones that murdered him. I don't know. I'm fine. No. Well, I'm not fine at all. I'm not, but I'm fine. I touched the letter as gently as I could. And then I looked at Shinjo, saw tears swollen eyes, and nodded.
どうぞ。何ですか？
Go ahead. What is it?
尾上セリカのことだ。久野里さんと俺、それに百瀬さんも調べてるが、不明な点が多すぎる。
It's about Onoe Serika. Kunosato-san, Momose-san, and I have all looked into her, but there's just too much we don't know.
覚えていることだけで構わない。最も古い、できれば最初に出会った頃のことから全てを話してほしい。
So please just tell me what you remember. Give me your oldest memory of her, preferably of the time when you first met. I wasn't sure how to process the complicated feelings I felt when he asked me that question. It was painful and unreal to think that my childhood friend was a murderer. It made me furious that I'd lost my best friend and both my sisters at the same time. It made me sad to think of the letter that Nono had written to me, and to realize that I might never feel better again. It made me feel pathetic to realize how I didn't want to admit that Onoe Serika was the cause of it all. It all mixed together like a swamp that threatened to draw me down. It pulled me deeper inside the abyss of my memories.
僕が尾上と出会ったのは
When I first met Onoe, it was before I started elementary school. I can't remember the exact date. She was my next door neighbor and she'd come over to play with me a lot. Yes, that's right. I was born in 1997, so if it was the same year I started elementary, it would be around 2004. We played together almost every day. She was like a little sister to me. I do remember that at first. I read her picture books I had only just learned to read myself. Your family was a lot like mine. Right, I'll tell you about mine though. I was an only child and both my parents worked. They both worked at an IT company back when there weren't many of those. I think they met each other there. Work was all they cared about. It was only years later that I learned that normal people didn't eat all 3 meals with a babysitter. Around that time I started elementary school. I started going online using one of their old computers. It was common for me to be up past midnight even then, but my parents didn't know that. I think they just didn't care. I can remember at least 2 birthdays where they just left me a present and a note saying they were sorry they couldn't make it. The year after the last one, there wasn't even a present, and the year after that, there wasn't even a note. Part of the way through elementary school, I mostly stopped going to class. My homeroom teacher called when I was in 3rd grade. Mom happened to be home that day, so she picked up the phone. So he had memories of Onoe even before his parents started to, like, completely be estranged from him. My homeroom teacher called when I was in 3rd grade. Oh, wait, I already read that. Okay. She looked annoyed when she talked to them. She said her husband was the one who took care of all that and hung up. She didn't tell me to go to school or even that I didn't have to go, and Dad didn't even know the teacher's name. At that time, I learned online that this was what they called low-level child neglect. Circo's the same, actually. Circo's the same, actually. I think her situation was worse than mine. She always used to tell me that I was lucky because I got a card. Oh, a credit card. I didn't have a babysitter at that point, so I had to get my own food. Once I learned how to use the card, I would split the food I bought with Serica. I don't think her parents hit her or anything either. Oh, but there was that one time when she ran over to my place and I was really scared. She said her parents had tried to force her to go to a hospital. No, I don't know the details, but her parents supposedly said all kinds of awful things about how she was crazy and wasn't normal. So I think it was a psychologist or psychiatrist or someone who worked at a hospital like that. She cried for a long, long time, which is why I let her stay in my room for a while. My parents never cleaned it, and they never looked inside of it either. Yeah, thinking back, we were probably together all the time when I was little. No, I've never met Serica's parents. She said they were almost never home. I don't think I ever went to her home either. They didn't have a computer, so there's no reason for me to visit. Huh? I'm not sure. I don't think she went to school. Never saw her playing with anyone except me, and we were busy finding information on the internet, so we were much smarter than... No, never mind. When we were in 4th grade, 2 years before the earthquake, we heard a rumor about Ami-chan, an urban legend. So the two of us snuck into the basement of the hospital to look for it. Yes, H Tokyo General Hospital. The reason why we did it was because we loved doing stuff like that, both Sarika and I. That's where we saw the experiment being performed on Mina Misawa. We got scared and ran. At the time, I couldn't even imagine what was actually happening there. That was the first time we both went outside and snuck into somewhere else. Sarika? I think she was scared. I remember thinking that I need to protect her. But I think that the both of us were equally excited. We had been able to learn something that no one else knew about. Sarika told me I should go to school and tell everyone what I saw, and so I did. But of course, everyone thought that I was lying. We started researching the sumo stickers and other urban legends. We even made a webpage about it to investigate it together. When we were in 6th grade, the New Generation Madness started. That was 2009. It was like I was having a fever dream or something. At first, we couldn't believe that something like that was happening in the city we lived in. We spent almost the whole day glued to the computer following the news. Shibuya 107. When something big like that's going on, if you take your eyes off the internet for even a few hours, you get left behind. We stayed up all night shifts following the case. Sometimes we'd use our cell phones to check the internet as we actually went out to the crime scenes and took pictures. So this guy created a separate consciousness to help him on the case. That's crazy. That's actually so efficient. More and more murders kept happening. Eventually people started to say that Nishijo Takumi was the killer, but he ended up proving them wrong. Sarika and I both got very excited. He seemed so cool. I thought that proving your innocence meant getting the right information and shoving it in the faces of people whose information was bad. It seemed like the ultimate expression of what I was trying to do back then, and what I suppose I'm still trying to do now with the newspaper club. Sarika said he was amazing. I agreed. When the earthquake happened, Sarika and I were near the O front building. Nishijo-san was causing a commotion there at the time we wanted to see. Suddenly, there was this high-pitched noise and everything went white. Inside. That was when it happened. First, we didn't think it was an earthquake. We thought it was a bomb or something that the ground bounced up and down like a trampoline, and several telephone poles near us fell over. I could hear screaming, the sound of breaking glass. Someone yelled, "Earthquake!" That's how I knew it was an earthquake. Anyway, Sarika and I ran away so we wouldn't get caught up in the people panicking. We didn't know where we were running, but we didn't want to be there. We got caught up in the crowds, and Sarika and I were quickly separated. When that happened, I got scared, and all of a sudden I couldn't move. I got pushed over and fell, and then I crawled behind something. The shaking had stopped, but what scared me more than the earthquake was the way everyone around me had changed in an instant. I spent a long time in that spot, unable to move. The idea of going home never occurred to me. There's no way I could rely on my parents for help, and at that time I thought that no place in Shibuya was still standing. I didn't know what to do. Suddenly I found Sarika passed out near me. She must have been pushed down and hit her head, or maybe she hadn't been able to handle what she was seeing because she had passed out. But suddenly I found Sarika passed out near me. That's convenient. I decided that I had to save her. The information online said that Yoyogi is relatively undamaged and that hospitals there was accepting patients. I carried her on my back and started walking there. And then... No, never mind. Anyway, I just kept walking. Finally, I reached H Tokyo General Hospital, which had been turned into a temporary shelter. Ooh, and this is where people probably got kidnapped and turned into experiments, huh? Sarika looked like she was in pain the whole way there. She didn't wake up. I saw my parents there, and then I collapsed from a terrible headache. That's all I remember from the earthquake. Huh. It's not a great time to forget what happened. When I woke up, I was in Alba Dorm, and a year had passed while I was in a coma. And that's where I met Nono and the others. Were you truly in a coma? Or were they doing experiments on you in those years, but they wiped it out of your mind? Using, I don't know, telepathy? I don't know. And that's where I met Nono and the others. Sorry, I'm fine. I heard what happened then from Nono and Sarika. Sarika woke up at the hospital and saw me unconscious. She stayed with me the whole time, and when each Tokyo General Hospital overflowed with patients, I was moved to one of the other hospitals in their network, and she came with me. She wasn't in good shape either, and I guess she didn't want to go home. She refused to leave my side, and when the people from the hospital saw her, they put her into care, counseling, I mean. She said her parents died in the earthquake, so did mine. Given the circumstances, the hospital didn't seem to mind her staying with me, but once things started to calm down, they sent her home. She found some relatives who agreed to help her get a place, the one she has now. And then every day after that, she came to visit me in the hospital. No, I don't know. I think she said they're relatives who lived a long way away. No, I don't know their names, I'm sorry. Some time passed, and since there was nobody to take me in, I was moved to Alba Dorm. But she still stayed by my side the whole time. That's when she met Nono, I guess. They were good friends. When I woke up after more than a year, I had trouble moving. Nono helped with my physical therapy. Sarika would come check in on me all the time, and Nono would happily tell her my progress. Family was very, very important to Nono, and Sarika was the one person outside the family that she called by her first name, not her last. The two of them would go out and visit all the different crepe shops in Shibuya, and since Sarika didn't have any interest in makeup or clothes, Nono would take her shopping for them. And that's also another clue I figured out for why potentially the audio bleed woman, Momone, didn't have makeup, because Sarika doesn't do that either. They really were good friends. But after my therapy ended and I could walk, I started going to school more and more. Yes, that middle school, I was given special permission to be in second year along with other kids my age. Sarika did the same as a first year student. After the earthquake, while I was in a coma, she started going to school. It was hard living on her own, but Nono would take care of her and her relatives sent her plenty of money. She seemed to be doing better than she was at her old house. No, there's nothing strange, I think. Oh. I went to Hekiho Academy because they offered free tuition for orphans of the earthquake. A year later, so did Sarika. We both joined the New Spirit Club and did things there. Ooh, that's a little suspicious. The school is a place for earthquake orphans? Like, certainly there's not going to be exploitation going on there. People who don't have guardians. Yeah. It was exactly as you saw it, I think. She spent a lot of time with us at school, but she had her own friends in her own class. She wasn't part of any of their groups, but it didn't seem like they were ignoring her or anything. I'd never seen her with anybody suspicious. She wasn't the type of person to keep secrets. When I didn't have a charger, she'd hand me her phone and let me use it. That was the kind of girl she was. Yes. Sariko's a normal high school kid just like the rest of us. November 5th, 2015, Thursday. So we're back to present day. At the same time. On the streets of Shibuya. Oh man, she's in a rush. Sariko's running. She was out of breath and had a terrible headache. Headache? So was she, mind controlled? There was sweat all over her body and it wasn't from exhaustion. Running a few minutes wasn't enough to tire her out. Compared to what she'd had to do to her mind and body to commit the murders, this was nothing at all. Damn. She touched a small cut in her stomach as she ran. She felt slick blood, sensation she was long since tired of. She would probably have to stitch it up, but if her organs weren't ruptured, she'd be fine. She was used to getting stitches, that anesthetic. She didn't even need a towel to bite down on to relieve the pain. The needle didn't even need to be a medical one. Jesus, she's hardcore. But this terrible headache was new to her. Circus stopped when she saw there was no one around. What's causing her headache? Just mental distress? I mean, it seems like this was something that wasn't too difficult mentally to do. Well, I don't know about that. She said her injuries were nothing compared to what it took from her mind. But if the injuries are bad, then I don't know. You're slowing me down. She punched the wound on her stomach hard 2 or 3 times. The sensation of a fierce external pain, the sensation she was used to, ran up her spine. She'd hoped that it would alleviate the pain of her headache. She hoped that her brain would decide the pain of her opened wound was more important than the headache. But the headache didn't stop. It felt like a cold needle was being driven into her head with every heartbeat, as her mind screamed at her that something was terribly wrong. Is this a side effect of using her telepathy? She knew why. Just trying to interfere with his power did this to me. Huh? Her head hurt, but her mind was still capable of clarity. Her foe was far stronger than she'd expected. Mind control. An unimaginably horrible form of hypnosis which would make anyone do whatever you wanted. When he was an ally, she thought it was the greatest power imaginable. Now that he was an enemy, it seemed like the worst. No. That's not right, she laughed to herself. He hadn't been an ally. He hadn't been a helper or a co-conspirator either. If you could call him anything, he was a blackmailer. So those years meant nothing to her? The phone in her hand started vibrating. It wasn't the one she'd used when she pretended to be a normal person. She destroyed that a while ago, so the police couldn't track her. It was the one he'd given her for communicating with him. This probably belonged to someone they'd killed, or perhaps he'd used mind control to steal it from someone who never even knew it was gone. It probably belonged to someone they'd killed, or perhaps someone he'd used his mind control to steal it from. Someone who never even knew it was gone. Does Takaru also have mind control? She never specifically name dropped Takaru, I don't think. So it could be someone else who has mind control. No, I think it is Takaru. She stared at the screen for a moment, finally decided to answer it. Nope. Okay, it was not Takaru. How's your stomach? Is this a Darth Spider? No. Darth Spider is Suwa, and Suwa died, I think? There's multiple endings. I think he dies in some of them.
すまねえないきなり切りかかってきたもんだがつい体が動いちまった
Sorry, you just attacked me out of nowhere. My body just moved on its own. Hold on, I need to decipher what the fuck she's saying. So, she destroyed that a while ago, so police couldn't track her. It was the one he'd given her for communicating with him. Definitely not Takaru then, methinks. Probably belonged to someone they'd killed, or perhaps someone he'd used mind control to steal it from. Someone who never even knew it was gone. So this is someone else. He hadn't been an ally, he hadn't been a helper or co-conspirator either, he was a blackmailer. So there is another psychic. Mind control. Okay, so the person she's quote-unquote being blackmailed by, who quote-unquote is not a conspirator, just for your information, has mind control. Onaway has telepathy. So they were quote-unquote allies, and then now she did something that made them enemies. You attacked me out of nowhere, my body just moved on its own. Who did she attack? She attacked the Empress? Oh! Yeah, it might be Takaru, right? Because I think the cut she has on her stomach was from Takaru being quote-unquote forced forward and trying to slash at Onaway before she just suddenly disappeared. So yeah, it checks out. This is Takaru, but really?
嘘をつけ。私の行動を予想していたくせに。やっぱりかと、お前の思考が言っていたぞ。
Liar, you were expecting it. I could read your mind. My body, as in my body that he has under his control, or his actual body. This could just be someone who he's controlling. Yeah, that's why. That's why Takaru lunged forward and couldn't, like, control himself. Because someone was controlling him at that exact moment. My body is not actually Takaru saying this about his own body. It's just my body isn't the one that's in his possession at the time from this mind control guy. Sorry, you just attacked me out of nowhere. It says man, but I don't think it's a man because it's a voice changer, right? So this could be a woman. Okay, let's parse this statement. Let's say sorry. Okay. Let's say this is no. Sorry, you just attacked me out of nowhere. Checks out. My body just moved on its own. Takaru, who I was controlling, moved on its own. Okay, all of that works. Man is no. You attacked me is Onaway. My body is Takaru. Which would make sense why she was able to read Nono's mind. He must have found something funny because the man on the other end laughed. That's just like you. That's the way kids should be, though. Kunasato? Momose? But if that's the case, then they wouldn't have gotten attacked by her, so that doesn't make sense. So, you can at least tell me why, right? Ah. No was a blackmailer of Onaway. They were allies, and now they aren't. So somehow they're collaborating without knowing each other's identities. And then they found out. You know damn well why. Circa's voice was filled with rage. He knew, yet he asked anyway. He was either a sadist or some kind of sick hedonist. The methods he came up with for his murders always felt like one big joke.
どうして宮代拓郎を主犯に仕立て上げた。一連の事件は全て南沢千里の犯行として決着させるはずだったろう。
Why did he make Miyashiro Takaru out to be the killer? The plan was to make it look like Minamisawa Senri was behind this. Are you saying I was responsible? Of course you were, asshole, Serica thought to herself. A warrant had been put out from Miyashiro only a few hours after Kurusu Nono's death, in a way that would normally never be possible. There's no way to give out a miner's real name that short span of time unless he had used his power.
一体どういうつもりだ。
What the hell are you thinking? He's learned too much. I'm actually doing you a favor here.
何？
What?
お前の力には随分助けられたからな。本来ならあいつを殺さなきゃいけないところを犯人として逮捕されるくらいで終わりにしてやるっつってんだよ。
Your mind reading powers helped me a lot. I was supposed to kill him, but instead I'm just gonna have him arrested as the killer. What was the point of all the new gen murders if it wasn't to awaken Takaru? She hated the fact that she was on the phone. Without being able to see him, she couldn't read his mind. Oh. Wait. Okay, so Takaru can't read anyone... It's not Takaru. Onaway can't read anyone's mind who she can't see. And who was the only person that she could have read the mind of, in other words, seen, before she was attacked? Like, if you look at this statement... Where was it? It was somewhere. Yeah, sorry, you attacked me out of nowhere. Liar, you expecting I could read your mind. So Onaway saw them. This has to be the Empress. This has to be Nono.
南沢千里より彼を犯人として祭り上げた方が都合が良くなっただけだろう。
It's just better for your plans if he's the criminal, not Minamisawa Senri, right?
余計なことを知っている彼は世間に出てこなくなる。その上、自分の姉と妹を殺した主犯ということで話題性もつく。
He'll be locked away where he can't tell anyone anything, and the press will think that he was the one who killed his sisters and talk about the story even more. But, like, the evidence was there that Ito killed killed Yui, so at the very least, he could not have killed Yui.
その方が力士シールに注目も集まるからな。
That will attract even more attention to the sumo stickers. Is that the goal? Having these new gen cases brings attention to the sumo stickers, and by bringing attention to the sumo stickers, you find more psychics?
しかも犯人として逮捕されて終わりだと。宮代拓は最初の犯行である9月7日時点ですでに18歳だ。
And do you seriously expect me to believe he'll get off with just an arrest? As of the first murder on September 7th, Miyashiro Takaru was 18 years old.
犠牲者は7人。未成年としては犯罪史上最多。今の世論の流れなら十中八九、極刑になる。そんなことを私がわからないとでも。
There were 7 victims. No minors ever committed that many murders. The way public opinion's going, there's a 99% chance he'll get the death penalty. Did you think I wouldn't know that?
そんなの裁判やってみなければわからないじゃないか。
We won't know until he goes to trial, will we?
どうせお前が捜査するんだろうが。
When that happens, you'll be controlling the whole thing. Sarika yelled into her phone and the man started laughing again. She didn't know if it was because she yelled or because his laughter pissed her off, but the headache got worse, which only made her even more angry.
やっぱいいなお前。お前、こっちに戻ってこないか。
You really are great. Why not come back to me?
お前の力は俺らにとって貴重なもんだし、頭も切れる。度胸もあるしな。
Your powers are great value to me, and you're smart. You have guts, too.
ふざけるな。彼が無事であること。これがお前に手を貸す唯一の条件だったはずだ。
Shut the hell up. His safety was the one condition I had for helping you.
相変わらずの石頭だな。
You're also stubborn.
それ以外のことに私の価値などない。
I don't care about anything but that. Miyashiro Takaru's survival. That was the one thing she cared about since she came into this world. Okay, so she's a delusional creation of Takaru. Just like Nishijo was of Shogun. Being a murderer, being an accomplice to murder, using her mind-reading powers to find psychics, she'd done it all for that reason. But now?
じゃあ聞くけどよ。お前、これからどうするつもりなの？
So let me ask you then, what will you do now?
まさか、あいつを連れて逃げる気か？
You're not going to take him in a run, are you? Sarika managed to stop herself from speaking. He was right. She thought it was the only way.
そんなことできるわけねえだろ。
That's impossible, and you know it.
やってみなければわからない。お前の力は確かに脅威に見えるが、委員会の末端ができることには実は限界があるんじゃないのか。
We won't know until we try. Your power is a threat, but maybe there's not much someone so low on the committee's totem pole can actually do, is there? That's why you'd come to her for help, right? She thought that this was her only chance to save Miyashiro.
現に彼はまだ警察にもお前の手にも渡っていない。居場所がわからないんだろう。
It's a fact that as of right now, you don't have him, and neither do the police. You don't know where he is, do you?
確かに俺は、末端どころか下っ端の下っ端。中枢メンバーすら知らない雑魚だけどよ。
You've got me there. That's right. I'm all the way at the bottom of the org chart. I don't even know who the main members are. And then he spoke in a voice that sounded a little too deliberate. She could sense his lips curling into a smile.
試しに、フレーシアあたりから調べてみるかな。
I guess Frisia would be a good place to start. Huh. What does he plan to do to Momose? Or Kunasato? Momose, probably. She finally gave a small gasp. She thought that that's where he was hiding too. How did he know about Frisia? When she whispered that to herself, he said,
あのな、フレーシアの話なんざ何度も聞かされてる。俺があいつや飲むからどれだけ信頼されてると思ってんだ。
Listen, they told me all about Frisia. Don't you know how much he and Nono trusted me? Huh, okay, so this... What? So this isn't Nono? But who could Onoe have saw on that night in order to read their mind? Or maybe she read her mind beforehand, like before she actually went out there. That would make sense. Okay. Yeah, because I just want to find the line again. Okay, so it was Yeah, I mean, I guess it didn't say that she saw it right then and there. But, okay. Okay, so Serica has seen this person at one point, which I guess is a given. Like, in their face. Do I know how much he and Nono trusted me? Who did he and Nono really trust? Their father? Yuto? Ito? Probably not Wakui the advisor. Kazuki? That would be really stupid if it was Kazuki. I would hate that. Kawahara? Did Takaru trust Kawahara that much? Wasn't that much. Kunosato? No, Kunosato's in Frisia. Of course she knows about Frisia. Oh, but maybe... I mean, he could just be lying, saying, oh, they told me about Frisia. In reality, he was always in Frisia. It could be Kunosato. It could be Momose. Like this, he could just be making up that he was told where Frisia was. There's Aramura. There's Yamazoe.
死ねクズが
Die, asshole. Serica hung up the phone and started to run, ignoring the pain in her head.
なるほどな。
I see. So that's it. Kunosato-san said in a voice that was almost too soft to hear, as she put her hand up to her head and started to think. I told Kunosato-san the same thing that I just told Shinjo-san. Oh, is it Shinjo? No, that wouldn't make sense. Because, okay, if Onoe has seen the man on the phone before, then it can't be anyone that that quote-unquote would obviously know about Frisia by being there. So it can't be Kunosato. Rule that out. Can't be Momose. Rule that out. Can't be Aramura. Rule that out. Can't be Yamazoe. Rule that out. Can't be Takaru. Rule that out. Can't be Nono, because he name-dropped Nono. Okay. Can't be Shinjo. Is it Kawahara? Or is it the father? Kawahara, the father, or Yuto? Shinjo-san had brought me back to Frisia and given me a stern warning not to leave again. Then he quickly gone back to his investigation, in theory, looking for me.
本当にもうバカなことはやめてくださいね、宮代先輩。
Really, stop being so stupid, Miyashiro-senpai.
まったくよ。有村ちゃんなんて泣きながら先輩が逮捕されちゃうって大変だったんだから。
That's right, Aramuro-chan was crying and screaming. They're going to arrest Senpai. It was a mess.
泣いてません。
I was not crying. Both Aramura and Momose-san were worried about me. I was grateful for that. The only ones who knew the truth were the other three people in this room. Or the Shinjo-san, Kazuki, and Uki. Yeah, it can't be... The guy on the phone can't be Kazuki either. We may have had... Oh my god. We may have all had different goals, but if nothing else, they knew I wasn't the killer, and they were working to find the real killer, Serica. Only now did I realize how stupid it was for me to run away. Compared to this morning, the thick fog in my brain had lifted a little.
ノノ僕は大丈夫だから
No, no, I'm fine. Has Ito ever been inside? Has Ito ever been inside Frisia? I don't feel like he has. Also, with Serika's mind reading powers, anyone can know anything. So the whole idea of like, oh well, Ito didn't know about Senri, so he couldn't have possibly brought that up. Well, with Onoue's mind reading, he can know about that, especially if they're allies. Ooh, that's freaky. Ito is locked up in the hospital, I think, but they could have planned it out beforehand what to do. Yeah, they're just... I don't know, it could be Ito. Don't think about revenge. Don't do anything dangerous. Live the same life as everyone else does, but don't get buried among the crowd. The words in the letter were like heavy weights, keeping me grounded.
Miyashiro, Arimura.
はい。
Yes? Kunosata-san turned away from the computer screen and towards us. Her expression was even more stern than usual.
前にも言ったと思うが、渋谷地震の際に目撃された白い光が、お前たちギガロマニアックスの発生に関係していると、私は確信している。
I believe I've said this before, but I'm absolutely certain that the white light seen during the Shibuya earthquake is in some way responsible for your powers.
震源域の中心付近にかつてプラネタリウムがあったのは知っているだろう。
You know, there was a planetarium near the epicenter of the earthquake, right?
そのプラネタリウムはある企業によって買い取られたのだが、新庄さんの聞き込みによれば、それ以降不審な男たちが目撃されるようになったそうだ。
That planetarium was bought out by a certain company, and according to Shinjo-san's investigations after that purchase, suspicious men were seen there many times.
しかもそれと並行して多数のリアルブートらしき現象の目撃情報がある。
Not to mention there are multiple witness reports of what sounded like a real boot phenomena. Really? What makes a real boot phenomena obvious?
さらにその企業は例の AH 東京総合病院と深い関係があることも分かった。
We also know that this company is deeply connected to H Tokyo General Hospital.
つまりどういうことですか？
So what exactly are you trying to say?
ここからは推測だが、プラネタリウムはあの地下施設と同じくギガロマニアックスの実験か何かに使われていたのではないかと思う。
This is just a hypothesis, but I believe that this planetarium was just like that basement facility. It was being used for some kind of gigalomaniac-related experiments, or at least something similar.
ところが、あの地震でプラネタリウムは破壊され、いや、あるいは逆に、プラネタリウムでの実験にトラブルがあって、地震を引き起こしたのかもしれないが。
But then the earthquake was destroyed the planetarium, or perhaps it was vice versa, and the earthquake was caused by one of the experiments going awry. So the destruction of Noah 2 gave everyone powers? How does that even work? Oh!
とにかく、 実験中だったギガロマニアックスの発生因子とでも言うべきものが周囲に拡散されてしまった。私はそれが白い光だと考えている。
Okay, so what I was thinking was the SS Anemone thing, where the silent weapons going off, like, really strongly gave Kaito powers and, like, Akiho her condition. So I'm thinking that the Noah 2 released a shit ton of, like, electromagnetic radiation, and that gave a bunch of people powers. Either way, they were experimenting to find some kind of causal factor that could create gigalomaniacs, which ended up spreading around the area. That's what I think the white light was.
有村ちゃんたちの脳からギガロマニアックスの能力を引き出してしまった原因物質ってことかしらね。
Some kind of material that drew the gigalomaniac powers out of your brains, I guess.
物質じゃなくて電磁波みたいなものだとかエネルギーとかそういうものかもしれないけど。
It might not have been the oh my gosh. It might not have been matter. It could have been electromagnetic waves, energy, or something similar.
ああ、つまりアレルゲンみたいなものですね。
Oh, it's like an allergen? That's a strange comparison. An antigen that causes an allergic response in vertebrates. In normal circumstances, antigens cause a reaction within the body's immune cells, resulting in them being ejected from the body via antibodies found within the bloodstream and other various bodily fluids. However, if this immune response is too strong, the body can experience allergic reactions. Substances such as pollen, as well as food that contains antigens, are also referred to allergens. Aren't there some people who have, like, a light allergy? Like, how the fuck does that even work?
全く違う。ちょっとばかり聞きかじっただけの言葉を使うな。バカは黙っていろ。
Not even close. Don't use words whose meanings you don't really understand. It makes you look like an idiot and needs to shut up. Oh my god! I mean, I was thinking she was wrong too, but holy fuck, you did not need to, like, you're an idiot who needs to shut up. Oh my god. Armor frowned, the two of them still weren't getting along.
こうして光を浴びてしまった多数の人間の脳に発生因子が与えられたと考えられるが、ただし全員が覚醒したわけじゃない。
We can safely assume everyone who is bathed in this white light was exposed to this causal factor, whatever it was. It was likely sent into the brains of many different people, but not all of them awakened.
これまでの研究によれば、脳がまだ発達段階で活発に活動している若い人間、その中でも脳への負荷が非常に高い事象を経験した者だけに能力の発現が見られる。
My research has shown this only occurred in the young whose brains were still developing, particularly those experiencing something that put them under extreme mental load. Oh, so this is the Chaos Child thing you're talking about? So it doesn't work on adults. Oh, that's why everyone was like 22, like in their 20s. And then there was like Yui, who was really young, but either way, they never really were past like age 24. I think Watabe was the oldest at 24. Which means 6 years ago for Watabe would have been 18, right? I guess that counts as young.
はい。
Right. I nodded. I knew exactly what she was talking about.
能力者の能力はその出来事というより、その出来事に対してどんな心理的作用が働いたかに依存している。
I guess that also explains why Kaito and Akiho were the only ones that we know of on the SS Anemone that got powers. Which means, oh my god. That means the people on the leaderboard, like Takanoi, Bobbly, must have been, before they got killed and turned into AIs, were probably on the SS Anemone as well. The powers a psychic develops depends on what that something was, or more accurately, how their minds reacted to it.
その話みんなでしたことあります。どんなことを望んだかで能力が決まるってことですよね。
We've talked about that. The wish you made is what decides your powers, right?
ありていに言えばそういうことになるな。
That's more or less the case. Back when I first woke up from my coma after the earthquake, I experienced a lot of stress because my body wouldn't move the way I wanted it to. I never want to go through that again. Not only that, but the psychological stress I endured from wondering whether or not I might be stuck like that forever was also incredibly terrifying. That's why I'd gained my power of psychokinesis. When I was telling that to Kunosata-san, my mind flashed back to how Nono helped me with my physical therapy. She'd done her best to cheer me up, at times kind and gentle, and at times strict. She was always there for me. But now she was...
ダメだ、しっかりしろよ。宮代拓郎。
No, get a hold of yourself, Miyashiro Takaru. I forced myself to snap out of it. And then I realized that Kunosato-san was staring at me.
Huh?
宮代拓の能力はサイコキネシス。その発生要因は過酷なリハビリ。私もお前のことを調べてそう思い込んでいた。
Your power is psychokinesis. The cause was your difficult physical therapy. That's what I'd incorrectly assumed when I first investigated you. Did you incorrectly assume his power was psychokinesis? Or did you incorrectly assume it was caused by his difficult physical therapy? In fact, it might not be psychokinesis, because it might be the power to just make your delusions reality, just like straight up, point blank. That's how you unlock the doors. And that's also how you created Onoe in your head. For some reason, she looked frustrated.
思い込んでいたって。
Incorrectly?
安易な判断と思い込み。私もまだまだ未熟だ。本当なら、もっと早く尾上セリカにたどり着けていたかもしれないのに。
I jumped to conclusions, which means I still have a lot of learning to do. If not for that, I could have figured out the truth behind Onoe Serika much more quickly. Huh?
どういうことですか?
But wait, he has memories of Onoe Serika before the earthquake even happened. So did he just, like, his brain just, through trauma or whatever, constructed all that? What do you mean by that?
今も言ったろ。能力者はいずれも地震の時にギガロマニアックスの発生因子を浴びて能力を発現させている。
Exactly what I just said. All the psychics developed their powers after being struck by that white light during the earthquake because of the causal factor.
おそらくあの過酷な地震が彼らに強いストレスと願望を与え、それが引き金となった。
My guess is that the intensity of the earthquake put them under immense stress, which made them wish for something, which itself became the trigger for their powers. So during an earthquake, Aramura's first wish was, please let the truth be found. Which means she was already suspecting something when it happened.
お前もそうだな、有村。
That's how it was for you, right, Aramura? We also don't know what Nono's power was.
ええ。
Yes. Aramura talked about that before. That our powers had awoken during the earthquake, and that the cause was because she wanted to know the truth.
山添由紀もそうだ。佐久間先生からのレポートによれば、能力の発現はやはり渋谷地震の直後だという。
The same is true of Yamazoe Uki. Dr. Sakuma's report says that her powers developed right after the earthquake. But she wasn't in earthquake range, right? She was in the hospital, which was not affected by the earthquake, but she still got powers. So she wasn't put under an extreme mental load, I don't think, unless she wasn't in the hospital and she was closer to the epicenter at the time. So it actually is just the light, maybe? I don't know.
それとパイロキネシストのハイダリコ、あの女のこともようやく調べ終えたが。
The same goes for Haida Riko, the pyrokinetic. We finally managed to investigate her thoroughly. Kunosato pointed to a corner of the screen. It was displaying data about the pyrokinetic that threatened us.
ハイダリコは渋谷地震で顔に火傷を負い、他の能力者と同様、その直後に覚醒している。
Why was her leg just messed up? Just like Senri's. Was that just to make people believe that she was Senri? Like they broke her leg? File number 329. Damn, so there's 328 other files. Age 18, pyrokinesis. You have the photo of the crime scene. Was it like the spit something? Okay, 12 years. At the time of the Shibuya earthquake, medical records found on a data server at H-Togo General Hospital. The records show her face and body were badly burned during the earthquake. It is likely that the sense of despair and hatred she felt then linked with a causal factor to give her pyrokinetic powers. Originally confused with Mina Masawa Senri, a suspect in the return of the New Generation Madness, but she was found burnt to death in her own condo during the investigation. There are many strange aspects of her death, such as a piece of rebar being impaled through her body. Jesus. Her face was badly burned during the earthquake, and just like the other sidekicks, she developed her powers immediately afterward.
絶望感による過度のストレスと、他の人間に自分と同じ絶望を与えてやりたいという暗い願望が発生因子と結びついたらしい。
I just realized something. Victim list first. Summary of expenses, report 3. Confidential. Interesting. Victim list first. Wonder if that'll become important later. In her case, she was overwhelmed by intense stress caused by her despair, and she subsequently wished to make other people feel the same pain as her. Those two things connected with a causal factor. I'm pretty sure everyone felt the same pain as her. They're all caught in that earthquake. Jesus.
これで分かったろ。もちろん全ての能力者を調べたわけではないが、私が知る限り全員例の白い光を浴びた直後に能力を得ている。
Now you understand, right? Of course I have investigated every psychic, but every single one that I know of awoke to their powers right after being struck by that white light.
1年以上のタイムラグがあったものなど、私の持っているデータの中にはいないんだよ。
No one in my data set developed their power a year later. I start to understand what Kunosato-san was trying to say. I was trying to say that, oh, because Takaru thinks he got his powers after he awoke from the coma. He awoke 1 year after the earthquake happened. So he actually has powers during the earthquake or before, which is weird because she's ruling out. She's saying, "Oh, no one in my data set got it a year after," but in theory, if you were to count him as getting a year after, he would be part of your data set. Like, so what? She needs at least 2 for either data to count. But if it's only 1, then it doesn't. Like, that's not a large enough sample size to be drawing conclusions. But I guess we don't know how many people she investigated, right? She might have investigated like 200, and I was the only one who didn't have it. That was when I started to get a bad feeling. But if her argument is that, well, Takaru had his powers before the earthquake, that isn't... Well, by that logic, it would still be out of her data set. Because then it's like, oh, well, no one in my data set got their powers before the white light. It's like, how is she gonna not contradict herself here? That was when I started to get a bad feeling.
情報を精査したところによると、能力者の力が発現する際には必ず大きな副作用が起こる。
When I went back over the information, I found that there's always a major side effect whenever a psychic first manifests their powers.
耐え難いほどにひどい頭痛だ。
An unbearable headache. Wait, so that was the first time Onoe awakened her powers? Okay, I'm trying to think, who else got a headache? Nono did not get a headache, but she also died. So I don't... Yeah, she also said she hasn't used it in like 6 years, which means she has used it before. Is there a point where Takaru had an unbearable headache? He does have headaches. Where his vision turns like red. But we assumed that was because of Onoe's telepathy or potentially mind control from the unknown person. But those were pretty spaced apart, so I don't think it would... Not all of those would be considered his first time. He didn't even get a headache the first time he opened the door to the revolving dead. So he's been using his powers for quite some time. Huh. But which power was it? Did he get a massive headache when he created Onoe?
これは血管拡張によるものだと思う。頭痛の原因の中では極めてポピュラーで、片頭痛と診断される痛みも血管が拡張するために起こる。
I believe it's due to the expansion of the blood vessels. That's an extremely common reason for headaches, particularly migraines. Is that what also causes the expansion or the swelling of the I forget what it's called, the neocortex or whatever? If that's the case, then Takaru was checked out and was normal. His brain was A-okay, and so was Aramura's.
Gigalomaniacs の場合の血管拡張は発生因子が引き金となってドーパミンとそれに類した神経伝達物質が過剰に分泌されるのが原因。
Some of our data indicates that in the case of a gigglomaniac, the causal factor is the trigger that results in the excess of dopamine and similar neurotransmitters.
というデータが出ているが。
This in turn results in the swelling. Does it go away eventually? Is that why Takaru doesn't have it? I'm confused. Then she paused. She was probably giving me time to think.
そこで宮代に質問だ。お前はリハビリの時にひどい頭痛を経験したことはあるのか？
So Miyashiro, did you feel any terrible headaches during your physical therapy? I mean... Takaru's brain isn't swollen, which means did he never actually use his gigglomaniac power? But that doesn't make sense, because Aramura's brain was normal. I tried to think, but I couldn't remember any pain in my head, just from the rest of my body, particularly my joints. So someone else was using their powers, someone with a swollen brain. Was it Did Nono ever get a brain scan? Was she actually just using her powers to unlock the doors? Or maybe... Huh. Someone else was doing it. I couldn't remember any pain in my head, just from the body. Just from my body, particularly my joints.
いえ、おそらくないと思います。
No, I don't think so.
なら他の能力者と同じように地震の際にひどい頭痛を経験した瞬間があったはずだ。
In that case, there should have been a moment during the earthquake when you experienced a terrible headache, just like the other psychics. Is this what caused him to pass out and end up in a coma? I could hear my heart beat loudly. My vision started to blur, and my heart beat so loud that I could hear it.
その時お前は何をしていた？
What were you doing back then? I had a very bad feeling. Did he create Onaway? Oh. Oh. Oh my god. I think I get it. I think I get it. I think I get it. Senri was friends. Maybe? No, I don't think this theory works, but I want to say it anyway. What if Senri was friends with Takaru, and then Takaru lost Senri in the earthquake, and then his power activated? He was like, I need to find Senri. I need Senri by my side. And then his power activated, and he created Onaway right next to him. Because remember, it was just like, oh, Onaway was found passed out right next to me. How? Because he created it. Oh, that explains so much. And then Senri is the one who's like resentful, who's like, you left me behind in the earthquake. What the fuck, man? And then she went on New Gen killings. I have a very bad feeling. What was I doing back then?
いや、正確に聞こう。地震の時にお前は何を望んだ？
No. Let me ask you a more precise question. During the earthquake, what did you wish for? He wished for Onaway, but Onaway died.
例えば危険を回避するために瓦礫を意のままに動かしたいと望んだのか？それでサイコキネシスを手に入れたのか？
Did you want to maybe move away some rubble so you could avoid some danger? Did that give you your psychokinesis?
違う。そんなこと望んでなんかいない。
No, that wasn't what I wished for. You wanted to protect Onaway. Or you wanted to find her, because you lost her.
あの時、僕が望んだのは。
What I wished for back then was... Serica, save me. Please, please. For a moment, it felt like the headache I experienced during the earthquake had come back, and I grabbed my head in pain. I tried to get the idea out of my head, but it wouldn't disappear. No. That can't be right.
どうした？
What's wrong? Kunosata-san stared at me. Her expression was as stern as ever. Soon after, she started typing on her computer. It now displayed a different set of data than before. For some reason, it felt like I was being driven further and further into a corner.
これは尾上のカルテだ。日付は2009年11月21日。AH 東京総合病院の系列病院に残っていた。
Do you think Onoe was a real person up until 2009? The earthquake happened. Any data on her was lost. They then took her into a hospital, gave her the name Minamisawa Senri, and tortured her. This is Onoe's medical records date November 1st, 21st, 2009. It was found on a system at a hospital affiliated with H Tokyo General.
お前は地震の後、ここに入っていたと言っていたな。ということは、お前に付き添っていた尾上も、この病院でカウンセリングを受けたわけだ。
You said you were a patient there after the earthquake, right? Which means that this is where Onoe would have been given her counseling. Oh my god. No. Wait. Is Takeru's power mind control? When you said Onoe saved me, it controlled Onoe's mind to come and save him. Is that why Onoe is like, oh, I have to protect Takeru. That's my only goal. Like, that's what he said. That's what she said to the quote-unquote man on the phone. So is all that motivation only there because of Takeru's wish? And if so, is she like the Terminator in a sense, where it's like, oh, we're programmed to protect humanity? Well, actually, I've never watched the Terminator, so I don't want to say that. But it's like an AI harming humans because they're given the instruction to help humans, but their idea of helping is like so unorthodox and not what you think of that it becomes something like twisted. So it'd be like, prime directive, Onoe, protect Takeru, or save Takeru. Ooh, Nono is a threat to Takeru, eliminated. This guy, with the future sight, is a threat to Takeru, eliminated. Yui is a threat to Takeru, eliminated. Is that how it works? However, there are no records of Onoe prior to this date.
そうでしたね、百瀬さん。
Correct, Momose-san? We couldn't find her family register or anything else, Momose-san said, but her voice sounded unreal and far away.
ありえないですよ。だって尾上は小さい時から僕と。
That's impossible. Onoe's always been by my side ever since we were little kids.
You live
next door to each other, correct?
そうです。
That's right.
当時、お前が住んでいたマンションは6階の角部屋。隣の住人の名前は新井。経営していた会社を引退した年金受給者の老夫婦だ。子供は設けていない。
At the time, you lived in a 6th-floor condo at the end of a hall. Your neighbors were named Arai. They were an elderly couple who'd retired from the company they ran. They had no children. My heart was now beating even louder. It was getting on my nerves. It was a strange sensation. I could hear all of her words, but I couldn't understand what they meant. Even my breathing was getting faster.
違います。尾上は隣に住んでいて、両親から無視されていて。
No, she lived next to me. Her parents were neglecting her.
その両親とやらに会ったことはあるのか？ないんだろ。
Did you ever meet her parents? No, right?
尾上には当時他に友達がいなかったそうだが、そもそも地震以前に尾上が誰か第三者と話しているのを見たことがあるか？
You said she didn't have any other friends, but before the earthquake, did you actually see her ever talk to anyone besides you?
それは。
That's... I didn't. But that was because she didn't have any friends. When we sometimes went outside, she was always with me. She never left my side for an instant. Kunosato-san tapped at the keyboard, and the screen changed. So in order for Onoe, quote-unquote, the fake Onoe, or Onoe that we now know is fake, to have powers, she had to have at least been present during the Shibuya earthquake, right? The white flash of light? Because how would Takeru be able to create Onoe, and then Onoe also has the power of telepathy? Like... You would need two flashes of light for that to happen. Kunosato-san tapped at the keyboard and the screen changed.
これはお前のカルテだ。その系列病院に残っていたものだ。
This is your medical record. It was also found at that same hospital. If only I'd found it sooner, she whispered. At some point I started crying. I couldn't see the screen through my blurry vision.
お前が昏睡状態に陥った原因は不明とされている。発生因子のことが解明できなかったんだろう。だがその代わり別の病院の精神科の診察記録が追記されている。
It says the cause of your coma is unknown. They probably had no idea of the presence of the causal factor, but instead it has the records in the psychology department of another hospital. Another hospital? A psychology department? I've never been to another hospital. It must have been some mistake.
2006年の日付か。お前が小学3年の時だな。イマジナリーフレンドへの過度の傾倒と診断されている。
It's dated 2006, so when you're in 3rd grade, it states that you're heavily reliant on an imaginary friend.
Huh?
Okay, so he had an imaginary friend, yes, but that wasn't because of his powers. That was just his imagination. And then that influenced his wish, saying, Onoe, Serika, please save me. And then that's what caused Serika to become real. Imaginary friend?
簡単に言えば空想上の友人のことだ。
A friend who only exists in your fantasies.
空想?
My fantasies? That's not true, a voice in my head said over and over.
イマジナリーフレンド自体は珍しいものじゃない。そもそも病気ではなく、幼児の3割近くが空想上の友達を持っている。
Imaginary friends themselves are very common. It's not a disease. Around 30% of infants have them.
何もない空間に話しかける子供に対して、幽霊が見えていると決めつけるオカルトマニアたちがいるが、そういうマニアの話を聞いたことくらいあるだろ。
There are fans of the occult who say that when an infant talks in empty space, it's because they can see ghosts. I'm sure you've at least heard of those stories, right?
嘘です。
You're lying.
だが思春期までイマジナリーフレンドを持続している人間となるとその数は激減する。乖離性同一性障害とは区別されているが私に言わせれば脳の状態はほぼ同一だ。
But very few people maintain their imaginary friends until puberty. It's distinct from dissociative identity disorder, but if you ask me, the symptoms are almost identical.
お前の話に出てくる地震前の尾上はお前を常に羨んでいたな。同じネグレクト状態にありながらお前の方がマシだと。
The Onoe you described from before the earthquake was always jealous of you, right? She was always a neglected child, but she said that you were better off than her. I tried to yell at her to stop, and my throat hurt too much for me to speak. The taste of blood filled my mouth. I must have bit my lip. I started crying without even realizing it.
イマジナリーフレンドの大半は友好的なものとして存在する。それで自分の承認欲求を満たすためだ。
The vast majority of imaginary friends are friendly. That's because they fulfill the desire for esteem. A general term for the desire for respect and recognition, be it from others or from one's ideal self. A fundamental physiological need in all humans, just like the need for food, sex, or sleep. Those with an excessive desire for esteem are those who are overly apathetic, may have trouble communicating with others, and may, in some cases, be suffering from a mental disorder.
違う。
No.
自分に不利益な事実を空想上の友人に押し付けるのはむしろ同一性障害に多く見られる症状なんだが。
Transference of negative facts onto an imaginary friend is actually something more commonly seen in identity disorders, but...
違うって言ってるだろ。
I'm telling you, you're wrong. Kinosato-san's words were cold and uncompromising.
頭がおかしい。まともじゃないと言われたのは尾上じゃない。
It wasn't Onoe who was told that she was crazy or abnormal.
それを尾上に押し付けたお前なんだよ、宮代拓。
It was you when you transferred that onto her, Miyashiro Takaru.
嘘をつくな。
Don't lie to me.
宮代先輩、
I felt a soft hand on my shoulder and turned to look. It was Aramura. She looked at me like I was a young child in need of tender care. Stop it. Don't look at me like that.
久野里さんは嘘はついてないです。
Kunosato-san is telling the truth. All the feelings inside me went cold when I heard her words. Aramura said she was telling the truth. So she really was.
だけど、そんなこと。
But then that means I didn't want it to be true. Because it was.
ノノを殺した尾上は、この僕が。
Then I'm the one who killed Nono.
ノノを殺したのは、結局僕ってことに。
That means in the end, I'm the one who killed her.
そこまでにしてもらおう、久野里美代。
That's enough, Kunosato Mio. Woman who we don't know. I suddenly heard a voice.
Huh?
What? I turned around and saw someone in front of the door. It was someone I knew very well. What?
尾上？
Her voice was so different, I didn't recognize her. That's right, it was Onoe Serika. She was different in every way from how she'd been at the newspaper club, but that was an expression on her face that I couldn't read at all.
貴様。
You.
待て、争う意思はない。
Wait, I'm not here to fight.
ふざけるな。
The hell you aren't.
本当だ。有村ひなえ、それをしまってくれないか。
It's true. Aramura Hanae, would you put that away? Before I knew it, Aramura had summoned her D sword. She was glaring at Serika and pointing it straight at her.
お前たちに危害を加えるつもりならこんなに堂々と姿は見せない。
If I want to hurt you, I wouldn't just walk through the door like this. Wait a second. Why is Serica here? What is she doing? She's saying she's not here to fight? To make me let my guard down and then kill me? No, forget that. Why'd she kill Nono? All these thoughts slipped through my mind before I could really think about any of them. But then they all came together to form the biggest question of all.
目の前のこいつを本当に僕が
Did I actually create her?
そう、今思ってる通りだよ、宮代拓。
That's right. It's exactly as you're thinking, Miyashiro Takaru. Oh, but does Serica only have the ability to read Takaru's mind? Or does she have the ability to read everyone's mind? Serica was looking at me dead in the eye. Was she reading my mind? It felt like she could read everything I was thinking.
私はお前に生み出された存在だ。あの時にな。
You created me during the earthquake. What she said was the one thing I didn't want to admit. So I found myself looking towards Aramura, who had drawn her D-sword and readied it again. Aramura nodded slowly without taking her eyes off of Serica. I knew that was her way of saying Serica was telling the truth, but still, my heart refused to admit it.
嘘だそんなの
It's a lie. It has to be. Because Serica is as important to me as Nono was. Suddenly, a phone started to vibrate in someone's pocket. Serica's expression changed infinitesimally.
私のスマホだ。ポケットに手を入れるぞ。他のものは出さない。だから、いいな。
That's my smartphone. I'm putting my hand in my pocket. I won't take anything else out. So, do you understand? Serica looked at Aramura as she spoke. Aramura was instantly able to tell she was telling the truth.
言ってることは本当です。
What she's saying is true.
スピーカーにしろ。
What a great fucking ability Hinae has. She made such a goated fucking wish. Literally clutch. LeBron level play. Put it on speaker.
疑り深い女だ。
You're such a suspicious woman. Serica nodded and took out her phone. She went to put on speaker mode, but before she did, she looked up. Her eyes met with mine.
宮代拓。もう一度心の準備をしておけ。
Miyashiro Takaru, brace yourself one more time.
お前はこれまでと同じかそれ以上のショックを受けることになる。お前の心が壊れるのを見たくない。
You're about to be hit with a shock that's as bad or worse than anything you faced before. I don't want to see your heart shatter. Is this the secret that Nono was withholding?
一体何を
What are you? What are you saying, Serica? Before I could ask, she put her hand to the phone and answered the call. Hey, did you make it to Frisia? Is that Bon? I've heard that voice before, but I couldn't tell whose it was. No, that wasn't right. Was that the father? I didn't want to admit whose voice it was. It was rare to hear his voice going to Serica's phone anyway. Whenever he needed something, he would always call me or Nono.
どうしてここにいると分かったというのは愚問か。
How did he know I was here? Never mind. That was a stupid question.
まあな。ああ言えばお前は全力でそこへ向かうだろう。
Yeah, I knew if I told you, you'd go running straight. You'd go running straight there. I'd never seen Serica spit like that before. Yeah, I mean, I can't say I'm completely surprised. I mean, I kind of suspected the father too, at points. There just wasn't amazing evidence for it. So I hadn't incorporated it into any theories. And this time, her face was red with anger.
で、どうだ？タクルはいるか？
So how's it look? Is Takaru there? I heard the name Takaru, I shivered. I knew it. There's no way I can mistake that voice. Now I understood why Serica told me to be ready for a shock. That voice was...
ああ、タクル、いるんだろ？俺だよ。
Hey Takaru, you're there, right? It's me. Yeah, it was really suspicious how he was adopting so many fucking earthquake orphans, and so many of them had psychic powers. And where he was getting all his money from. It was the voice of my father, Sakuma Wataru. I couldn't speak. The ground beneath me seemed to shift and I felt sick. The phone seemed to stick out clearly while everything else faded away.
佐久間先生。
Dr. Sakuma?
そういうことか。
So that's it, huh?
こちらの動きはみんな筒抜けだったわけね。
They knew everything we were up to then.
おい、タクル、聞いてんのか？
Hey Takaru, you listening?
もしもし。
Hello?
父さん。なんで？
Dad, why?
おお、やっぱいるじゃねえか。なんだ、まだ尾上から聞いてねえのか？
Oh, so you're there. What? Onoe hasn't told you yet? Told me what? Told me what? And why is Dad calling Serica's phone?
全部の絵を描いてたのは俺と尾上だよ。
Onoe and I planned the whole thing. So, did he... So Onoe is basically just like programmed with the single directive of protect Takaru, and I wonder if that was heavily exploited by Sakuma, basically trying to like say, hey, this is actually somehow helping Takaru, and then it ended up in this really roundabout way of creating all these events. Onoe and I planned the whole thing. I didn't understand what he meant, but I could hear my heart pounding loudly.
今回起きた一連の事件の最初からな。結構苦労したんだぞ。尾上と二人でいろいろと準備して。
We planned the whole thing from the start. It was a lot of work, you know. Onoe and I had to work as a team to get all this stuff ready.
一緒にするなよ。
We were not a team. I flinched away from her. So, Dr. Sakuma's power is mind control. I guess that settles it. I think. It could also be No-No, because I don't think we've seen mind control used ever since she died. So it could be her, for all we... I flinched away from her. Serica was staring at the phone with a look on her face I'd never seen before.
つれねえな。事実じゃねえか。二人で一緒に頑張って殺してきただろ。
But it's the truth, isn't it? We both worked hard to kill them all.
未来予知の大谷も感情誘導の高柳も思考盗撮の更新でバイトしてた兄ちゃんは何つったっけな。
Otani, the precog, Takiyanagi, the one who controlled emotions, the mind reader, what was his name again? The one who worked at SafeWorks?
まあいいか。渡部もハイダもユイもノノも。
Well, it doesn't matter. Watabe, Haida, Yui, and Ono, too.
みんな俺とお前の成果だろ。
You and I accomplished all that together. That was my dad's voice. There was no mistaking it. The names Yui and Ono echoed in my mind. Accomplished? Together? Felt like I was about to throw up. The taste of stomach acid rose into my mouth. I fell to my knees, unable to stand. Drool and vomit dribbled out of the corner of my mouth and onto the floor. Aramura was saying something to me. I could hear the words, but I couldn't understand them. This had to be a dream. It had to be just a bad dream, because what if Aramura says actually he's lying? Why would Dad do something like that?
顔を上げろ。
Raise your head. Dad and Serica had killed them? Killed Yui? Killed Nono? Killed 2 of her family? Was Serica just being mind controlled? Is that why? Look at me. Why? What is this? That doesn't make any sense at all. Yeah, it has to be, right? Because... no, I guess it doesn't have to be, but... what the hell's going on? Look at me, Miyashiro Takaru. Our eyes met. Soriko's looking at me, her expression fierce. Everything's going to be alright. She looked straight into my eyes. I'm here for you. Everything is going to be alright. Alright? How will anything be alright after this?
随分な言葉だな。
That's quite the statement. Serika's eyes narrowed as she looked at Kunosato-san.
安心しろ、久野里美代。今さらお前と分かり合おうなどと思っていない。
Don't worry, Kunosato Mio. I have no intention of trying to make you understand.
お前たちの側に立ちたいともな。
Nor do I want to be on your people's side. Your people? Kunosato and Aramura went pale.
お前。そうか。それがお前の能力か。
So, if Dr. Sakuma is low on the Committee of 300 org chart, and Momose is also in the Committee of 300, is this like a schism in the organization or something? You, I see. So that's your power.
思考洞察
Mind reading.
頭の回転が速いな。そう。柿田博則と同じものだ。
You're sharp. That's right. Same thing Kakita had.
おい、タクル。聞こえてっか？
Hey Takaru, you listening?
つうわけでよ。とっとと名乗り出てくれ。
Come on, tell me you're there.
父さん、なんでどういうことなんだよ。
Dad, why? What's going on?
言っただろ？俺と尾上がやったことだって。
I told you, Ono and I did it all.
だからそれってどういうことなんだよ。
But why would you do that? I guess to awaken him, right?
佐久間渉は委員会の人間なんだ。
Sakuma Wataru works for the committee. Serika said the word like she was disgusted by it. And then Kunosato-san heard it, her face filled with anger.
正確には委員会の末端の組織。病院の地下でギガロマニアックスの研究をしていた連中の一人だ。
More precisely, a very small organization that works for them. He is one of the ones doing gigalomaniac research in that basement.
連中は渋谷地震の影響でイレギュラーに発生してしまった能力者を邪魔な存在と捉え飼っていた。
They decided that all the psychics accidentally created by the Shibuya earthquake to be irregularities that could threaten their plans, so they hunted them down and killed them.
私はそれに協力していた。宮代拓、お前をその狩りから外すことを条件にな。
I helped them in exchange for ensuring that you, Miyashiro Takaru, would not be one of their targets. I felt like I couldn't breathe. The air was just leaking out of my mouth. So in a roundabout way, he did end up killing Nono, but it was like so far beyond what you could have expected would happen. He couldn't have known that his wish would create like a program that just follows whatever directive. Dad was what?
お前よ、お前本当にタクルを連れて逃げる気か?
Oh no way. Are you seriously planning to take Takaru and run?
お前は約束を保護にした。好きにさせてもらう。
You broke your end of the deal. I'll do as I please.
そうじゃなくてよ。そんなこと可能だと思ってんのか? と。
That's not what I mean. Do you really think that's even possible? Just a second.
ぼちぼちだな。ちょうどいい。テレビつけてみろ。どのチャンネルでもいいからよ。
Yeah, seems okay. Just turn on the TV. Any channel is fine.
何?
What?
いいからよ。テレビぐらいあんだろ?
Just do it. You got a TV there, right? Is it gonna be a sumo sticker? Someone probably, Momose-san, turned on the TV. The voice of the TV announcer filled the room.
続きまして、渋谷で発生した連続猟奇事件に関する速報です。
An update on the bizarre series of murders in Shibuya.
未成年の実名を公表したことにより注目されている今回の事件ですが、
This case has attracted a lot of attention because the police released the suspect's full name despite him being a minor.
先ほど重要参考人として指名手配されている宮代拓君本人から報道機関宛てにメールで連絡が入りました。
Yashiro Takara-kun, who is wanted as a person of interest in the case, has just sent a message to the media. What? Takara turned and looked at me.
知らない。僕は何もしてない。
I don't understand. I didn't do that.
そのメールには明日渋谷で開催される渋谷復興祭において注目の中自らの命を絶つと記載されており、
The message, delivered in the form of an email, says that he plans to take his life tomorrow during the Shibuya Restoration Festival.
警察はメールの中に犯人しか知り得ない情報、いわゆる秘密の暴露が含まれていたことから、このメールを宮代拓君本人からのものと断定しました。
The police say that the message contains information known only to them and the killer, and so they decided that it was sent by Miyashiro Takara-kun himself. Oh dear. I could hear myself let out a short scream. What the hell was this? What the hell was going on?
お前
Sakuma, you?
いや、タクルを連れて逃げるなんて言うもんだからよ。どうしたら諦めてくれるかと思ってな。
Well, you said you're gonna take Takaru and run away, so I had to come up with something to get you to change your mind.
自ら命を絶つなんて誇張だよ、誇張。
Don't worry, I'm not going to have him actually kill himself.
ただ話題性は抜群だろ。復興祭に参加する人間町中の奴らがタクルの死ぬとこを見物しようと探し回ることになる。
Everybody participating in the festival tomorrow, which is to say everybody in the city, will be searching for him so they can watch him die.
フリージアに隠れてたって俺がネットでちょっと情報を流してやればそれで終わりだ。隠れる場所なんてどこにもなくなるぜ。
You can try hiding at Frisia, but all I have to do is leak a little bit of information on the internet, and that will be the end of that. There's no place for him to hide.
ゲスが
Scum.
お前どうする？タクルを諦めてくれるんなら俺はこれからもお前と組んでやっていきたいと思ってんだ。まだ狩りは残ってるしな。
So what will you do, Onoe? If you're willing to give up on Takaru, then I'd like to keep working with you. There's still hunting to be done after all. She can't. That's not in her directive. There's a short silence. Hearing the two of them talk about me didn't seem real. It was like watching the world from the other side of a pane of glass.
わかった。
Fine. She's just lying.
ただし条件が一つある。
One condition.
おお、なんだ。
Oh, what's that? As if he's not gonna break that too.
お前を殺させろ。
Let me kill you.
あ
今どこにいる？殺してやるから教えろよ。
Where are you right now? Tell me so I can come kill you. His voice suddenly cut off. There was a heavy silence to try to figure out what she meant.
つまり返事はノーってことか。
In other words, the answer is no.
宮代拓は私が存在する意味そのものだ。彼に害をなす者には指一本触れさせない。
Yashiro Takaru is the very reason I exist. I won't let anyone lay a finger on him.
本気で言ってんのかよ。
Are you serious?
地震の日に肉体を得てから6年。お前に脅されながら人を殺し、組織のために死体の山を築いてきた私を甘く見るな。
It's been 6 years since I became real during the earthquake. I've been killing people for you ever since. Don't underestimate me. I heard what sounded like an animal's laugh. It was my father's laugh, the one I'd always heard at the Albador.
強がりってのもなかなか可愛いもんだな。さっき腹を裂かれたばっかだってのによ。お前、俺を殺せるつもりでいんのか？
It's so cute when they're stubborn. You just got your stomach ripped open, and now you think you can kill me? Is this gonna be the final showdown where you have to, like, get past Sakuma's mind control?
いいぞ、付き合ってやる。始まりの場所に来な。
I guess he's like the Norase of the game. Heh, fine, I'll play along. Come to where it all began, okay?
始まりの場所。
Where it all began.
わかんねえか？今回の事件。いや、6年前の事件も含めて、全てが始まった場所だよ。
You don't know what I mean? Where everything about this case? No, where everything about this case and the one that happened 6 years ago began?
あそこか。
There, huh?
そう、そこだよ。ついでに時間も合わせようじゃねえか。あの時あの場所でってやつだ。
Yes, there. Let's see if we can't match the time too. It'll be more dramatic that way.
お前の死に場所にはぴったりだろ。もちろん、タクルも連れてこいよ。
It's a perfect place for you to die, isn't it? Of course. Bring Takaru too. And suddenly I heard the cold electronic beep of an ended call. Everyone but me was looking at Sarika on her phone, and I was still kneeling on the floor, unable to move.
11月6日、0時になりました。次のニュースです。
It's now midnight, November 6th. Our next top story. Chapter 11, Takaru Miyashiro, His Struggle. And we're going to end the episode there. Thanks for watching. Jesus. 2 hours passed by in a fucking flash. Holy crap, I was so immersed in that.